Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Picture this. It's July 29th, 1776. While the Founding Fathers were still celebrating their audacious Declaration of Independence just 25 days earlier, a small band of Spanish explorers was setting out from Santa Fe on what would become one of the most remarkable expeditions in American history. Led by a brilliant priest with a revolutionary idea, they were about to traverse nearly 2,000 miles of completely unknown wilderness, mapping territory that wouldn't be fully explored again for another half-century. This is the story of Father Escalante and the birth of the Old Spanish Trail, an epic adventure that changed the course of the American West forever. To understand why this expedition mattered, we need to travel back to 1769, when Father Junipero Serra established the first California mission at San Diego. By 1773, 5 Spanish missions dotted the California coast, but these remote outposts faced a logistical nightmare that threatened their very survival. The Spanish had a problem, and it was killing them, literally. Supply ships sailing from Mexico to California faced months-long voyages that claimed lives to scurvy and cost fortunes. Even worse, the livestock desperately needed by the missions couldn't survive the brutal ocean crossings in cramped sailing vessels. The missions were starving for reliable supplies. Previous attempts at overland routes had proven equally disastrous. Juan Bautista de Anza had pioneered a path from Sonora through Arizona's punishing deserts, but the crossing claimed so many animals to heat and thirst that it proved economically ruinous. Enter Father Silvestre Vélez de Escalante, a priest stationed at the Zuni mission on the New Mexico-Arizona border. Where others saw impossible obstacles, Escalante saw elegant solutions. Escalante possessed something rare among colonial administrators. He was both a dreamer and a scientist. His astronomical knowledge told him that Monterey, California, lay at roughly the same latitude as the Colorado-New Mexico border. His experience with local tribes revealed that the Utes, unlike the hostile Apaches and Navajos to the south, were remarkably friendly to Spanish travelers. Most importantly, his understanding of geography suggested that a northern route would avoid the deadly deserts. His proposal was audacious in its simplicity. Instead of supplying California from Mexico, why not create a direct route from Santa Fe? The city was already thriving thanks to successful trade with Ute tribes. Escalante envisioned traveling northwest from Santa Fe to reach Monterey's latitude, then heading directly west across country that promised adequate grazing and water. The plan he submitted called for 20 well-armed men on horseback. Escalante himself would serve as spiritual guide and expedition journalist, using his astronomical expertise to maintain precise navigation records. The authorities approved Escalante's proposal, though with considerably less enthusiasm than he'd hoped. Instead of 20 men, they authorized only 6. The expedition would be led by Don Bernardo Miera y Pacheco, a retired frontier militia captain, while Father Francisco Dominguez would serve as titular spiritual head. Escalante found himself assigned as expedition journalist, tasked with keeping a diary with the greatest exactitude. Though disappointed not to be named spiritual advisor, he became the expedition's driving force, and his meticulous journal would prove to be one of the richest sources of early American history ever produced. On July 29, 1776, the small Spanish party departed Santa Fe with saddle horses, beef cattle for food, and pack mules loaded with supplies. They had no idea they were about to write history. The expedition's first destination was Mission Santa Clara, followed by Abiquiu, 25 miles up the Chama River. This picturesque adobe village represented the furthest northwest Spanish outpost. Here, the party paused for a solemn mass before entering the wilderness proper on August 1st. What followed was a masterclass in wilderness navigation. Escalante and his companions followed ancient Ute trails northward, crossing the continental divide where the Chama River emerged from rugged canyons. For 18 days, they pushed through spectacular but challenging terrain, crossing and recrossing the Chama River, navigating natural passes, and following Indian trails at river fords. Escalante's celestial observations confirmed they were maintaining their desired latitude, and by August 19th, they had penetrated deep into present-day Colorado. But the wilderness had other plans. Following what they believed to be the main Ute slave route, the expedition found itself trapped in the twisting, rock-walled labyrinth of Summit Canyon. The confident progress of their first weeks ground to a halt as they struggled through terrain so difficult they managed only 2 or 3 miles per day. Picture these men, hundreds of miles from the nearest Spanish settlement, watching their supplies dwindle as they fought their way through a geological maze. The very Indian trails that had guided them faithfully suddenly vanished, leaving them to navigate by instinct through increasingly hostile terrain. It was here that Escalante's leadership proved crucial. Rather than pushing blindly forward, he made the decision to seek help from local Utes, turning eastward toward Gypsum Canyon in search of friendly tribes who might guide them through this stone wilderness. The expedition's salvation came through diplomatic wisdom. Near present-day Montrose, Colorado, they made contact with local Utes who led them eastward down the Uncompahgre River, then north across the imposing Grand Mesa. On the mesa, they discovered a small Ute village where 2 visiting Laguna Indians agreed to guide them to their homeland at Utah Lake. These 2 men would prove instrumental in the expedition's success, leading the party northwest across the Colorado River, then across the White River and the Green River at Jensen, Utah. The route from Jensen closely followed what would become U.S. Highway 40, then turned southwest across the Wasatch Mountains via Spanish Fork Canyon. Finally, after weeks of grueling travel, they reached Utah Lake, south of present-day Provo. After resting at Utah Lake, the expedition continued southward, reaching the Sevier River on September 29, 1776. Here, Escalante encountered one of the most unusual rivers in the United States. A waterway that rises in southwestern Utah, flows north for 150 miles, then turns west and south again before disappearing into the desert. For a week, they explored the country around the Sevier's westward bend, until a howling 2-day snowstorm forced them to confront a harsh reality. Escalante's calculations contained a crucial error. He believed they had again reached Monterey's latitude and estimated 400 to 500 miles remaining to the Pacific coast. With provisions nearly exhausted and winter approaching, the expedition faced a moment of truth. The decision to turn back rather than continue would haunt some historians, but it may have saved the expedition's lives while ensuring their discoveries reached the world. The return journey proved as significant as the outward exploration. Traveling south along the western margin of the Wasatch Mountains, the expedition crossed the very route that would eventually become the Old Spanish Trail. They discovered the headwaters of the Virgin River and continued past the area that would become Zion National Park. Turning east toward New Mexico, they forded the Colorado River at a point that would forever after be known as the Crossing of the Fathers. From there, they returned via the Hopi villages, finally reaching Santa Fe on January 2, 1777. In 5 months, they had traveled and mapped nearly 2,000 miles through territory completely unknown to Europeans. Escalante's journal provided the first accurate description of the vast region between the Rocky and Wasatch Mountains. While Escalante's expedition didn't immediately result in regular Spanish trade routes to California, it planted seeds that would grow into one of the most important trails in American history. The eastern portion of the route remained in use, and by 1805 Spanish traders were regularly traveling to Utah Lake. But it was American mountain men who truly established the Old Spanish Trail as a functioning trade route. William Wolfskill and Ewing Young, arriving with the earliest Missouri trader caravans, used Escalante's route discoveries to expand their trapping operations throughout the Colorado River system. By 1824, large trapping parties were making the 30 days journey to the Northwest annually, cementing the trail's importance to the American fur trade. Today, interstate highways follow much of Escalante's route, testament to his remarkable geographical intuition. His journal remains one of the most valuable documents of early American exploration, providing detailed scientific observations alongside human drama that brings the 18th century frontier to vivid life. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman, Alan, for another Southwest story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.